What's up, everybody? Thank you, those of you who are in the chat room already. And I am really excited to see that some of you folks are already in the chat room and getting it going. So that's always a good thing. I'm thinking that this is going to be my kind of my regular tradition here for a Sunday night broadcast. So I had to check and make sure everything was working. It sounds like it is. So, tonight is going to be a little bit different from what I had originally planned in the sense that initially this was going to be a broadcast where I was going to mostly just do writing sprints. And I probably will do a little bit of that, but I'm actually just going to spend a little bit of time just kind of updating you guys on some things. And I got a stack of books here that I might need your guys' help to sort through and figure out what's going to be my next physical read. So hopefully you guys will be ready to give me some advice as I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 7 books that I'm going to go through. And I just actually read one book today that I finished, and it's probably a record for me to finish a book in basically, I think it was like 2 sittings. So it was a little bit of a shorter book, nonfiction book. It had to do with Black athletes, patriotism, and some of the issues related to that on the positive and on the negative sides of that issue. So I thought that was a book that I was excited to read. I bought it a couple weeks ago, thanks to Amazon, and then I finally decided to pick it up and actually read it. So that was something that was pretty good. So yeah, reading picks should be kind of fun tonight to get into some reading picks and seeing what's going on with you guys and getting some of your guys' opinions here. Yeah, I think I'm pretty ready for Christmas. I think like a lot of people, because of what's going on in the world with COVID and everything, it's really changed a lot of people's plans for what they were going to do, and some people have had to make some adjustments, as we have in many different ways since about mid-March. And I'm no different than other people, and putting safety first, especially the safety of older relatives, has just been a priority for me. So I will be having a solo Christmas. So I'll be here for Christmas. I'll be home for Christmas. Not much of a singer, as you can tell, but I will be home for Christmas, and I'll make a Christmas dinner. I'll be chilling out, and I'll be doing some reading, some writing. I'll be doing some cleaning around the house because it definitely it can use a little TLC. So I'll be doing a little bit of that too. And actually, that's a pretty good segue because one of the issues that I was going to talk about, I shouldn't say issue, but one of the things that I was going to talk about is that during the next 2 weeks on the channel here, I am going to be unveiling my picks for my book awards. So, as I've mentioned a few times before, I'm going to have my fiction book of the year, my fiction runner-up book of the year, my nonfiction book of the year, my nonfiction runner-up book of the year, my pleasant surprise book of the year, my disappointment book of the year, and a new category that I added at the last minute was my first I was hating, now I'm celebrating category. So I'm excited about these book awards that I'm going to be giving out based on my reading. I've filmed and edited all but one video for the end of the year. The only end of the year video that I still need to shoot is my video where I'm going to go through, it's kind of a year in review video, and I'm just going to go through all of the top books, my best book that I read each month of the calendar year 2020. So I'm excited about that. I was a little worried about December because I hadn't read a whole lot of books so far in the month of December. But today, I read another good book. And so I'm pretty confident that I have a pretty good book to pick for December to round it out. And then I'll probably film that video either late tonight or probably at some point tomorrow. And then that'll probably be posted on the channel on probably December the 31st. So be on the lookout for the year in review videos. They were fun to do. They were kind of fun to edit. I did them all at pretty much in one sitting. So hopefully there's no mistakes, fingers crossed, in the video. So be on the lookout for that, please. Over the next couple of weeks, I think there's going to be some good stuff in there. Let's see. Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, Brandon Sanderson is definitely on my list for next year of new authors that I'm going to dive into, so I can speak a little bit more intelligently among the booktube community, because as I've mentioned before on this channel, I'm one of the few booktubers it feels like that's not reading Brandon Sanderson and Sarah J. Maas. Mostly Brandon Sanderson. He seems to be this year. He seems to be the hot writer this year. Divided by Sight. I don't know if that's something that you've seen in your journeys around booktube land here on YouTube, but it just seems like everybody's reading Brandon Sanderson right now, which is good. It's just interesting. I will say I'm more intrigued by him because of some lectures that he did that are on YouTube. You can go and find them. He did about basically the fundamentals of writing. And then there's one that he did, I think it was him. He did one on world building, which I want to look at because of something that's going to pertain to the next announcement that I'm going to make. And he did just a series of lectures, and it was really some good stuff. I enjoyed following them and getting a feel for his writing style, his approach to writing. You can never stop learning. So I was really interested in reading that. So that next announcement I was going to make is before I jump into this 5-part series that I've been telling you guys about, I think I'm going to press the pause button on that. And I really want to focus on the fundamentals of world building in novel writing. And just to make sure that I'm going in there with a good perspective and going in there with the right mindset and the right approach. So those of you out there who are world building knowledgeable, whether from a reading standpoint or from a writing standpoint, definitely chime in and let me know what you think. I just there's a significant amount of world building in this book that I want to do, and I just want to make sure that I'm on point with what I'm going to be doing in terms of making sure I'm ready to write this story and do it the right way, and to get off to a good start. I jumped into it and started writing, and I didn't like where it was going. I was about 300 words in, actually 318 words to be specific, into it, and I just didn't like where it was going. So I decided to hit the pause button, and I'll probably jump into another project to maybe as a bridge from what I just finished for NaNoWriMo to what I want to do with this 5-part series that I'm working on. Writing fight scenes. That's interesting. I don't think I saw that one, but that would be an interesting one to write too. I've had some fight scenes in there, and they're kind of tricky to write. So I might have to check that out and see his perspective on that. He's I really like the way that he delivers when he does his lectures. He really kind of makes it easy to consume, and so I think he did the lectures that I saw. I think he was talking to a class. So I think he was in a lecture hall talking to a class, and so he did it in a way that makes me think, man, maybe this guy should be a college professor or something. I don't know, maybe he is a college professor, but he did a nice job of kind of breaking down some of the fundamentals of writing in the lecture that I saw. So with that, I'm going to jump into this stack of books that I have over here, because I've got some interesting books, and I'm looking for a physical copy of a book to read. And so I picked up this stack over here that you can't see off camera, and I want to just go through these, and I'm for sure going to read the nonfiction. There's one nonfiction book in here. I'm definitely going to read it. And then I need to pick a fiction book from this stack that I'm going to read. And I'm going to do that here just shortly. Let's catch up to what you guys are talking about. World building can be hard. A good approach. Take your time and get everything mapped out. Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I hated that I jumped the gun and started writing the story, because I just wasn't quite ready. And I like the way you put it mapped out, because the map, which I did some work on it in terms of the distinctive regions that are going to be important in the story. I did a pretty decent job of mapping that out, but there's still some kind of infrastructure things that I need to sort through and make sure will be on point before I really start writing. And so, like you said, I really want to map it out first and make sure that I don't leave anything to chance. One of the reasons that I was successful during NaNoWriMo is because I outlined like I have rarely, if ever, outlined before. So I put a lot of detail into my outline, and it paid off because I hit my stride writing, and I never broke stride except at the very end when I kind of changed the ending at the very end of the story. But other than that, I just never really broke stride. I easily beat the 50,000 word goal. I ended up with over 60,000 words by the end of November. And then I finished the novel at about 75,000 words. So I was feeling pretty good about that. So you're right. Taking your time and really mapping out what you want to do, I think is a great formula for success. All right, let's see. It depends. Some create an entire new world, while others base it off real world and change the state name. That's actually what I did. The second part of what you said, Nicole, is what I actually did. So that makes it a little bit easier in some ways because it is kind of already there, and I'm kind of fictionalizing, for the most part, an area that already exists. There'll be some straight fiction in there that I think is going to be really important. So I definitely don't want to rush that. But I have a problem with, I struggle sometimes with books with just total world building. So those kind of scare me a little bit. So, but I think I got a good approach, and it's just going to be a matter of I've got the pieces of the puzzle, and I kind of know what the puzzle looks like, and so it's just a matter of putting the pieces of the puzzle in the right place. So I think I'm on a good track. I'll probably not end up starting that series probably until maybe February, something like that. But no, that's a great point that you bring up. Got an author tuber, did some videos, actually maps for you. Okay, that's yeah, that might be one to check out. So I'll definitely take a look at that. Always interested in taking a look at other, um, especially author tubers. You know, my author tube videos don't do quite as well on the channel. The booktube videos tend to perform better, but I have a passion for author tube for writing that's in some ways probably at least as good or as strong as what I have for reading. So therein lies some kind of a certain level of conflict. Hello, Laney Sky. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're just, I'm going to talk about the stack of books over here right now, but I'll get into eventually doing some writing because I do have a story, a gap story that I'm going to work on while I think through an outline for the big series that I want to write. And I want to devote most of, if not nearly all of 2021 working on that series. So with that, I'm going to jump into the books that I have over here. So first up is the nonfiction book that I'm going to read for sure this month. And it is called Black Fatigue, if you can see it right there. And it is How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit. It's written by Mary Frances Winters, bestselling author of Inclusive Conversations and We Can't Talk About That at Work. So I'm just excited about reading this because I think these days this is a topic that's kind of near and dear to a lot of people. Sorry, I know you can't see it behind the microphone, but I'm looking forward to reading this. This was recommended by another booktuber that I happened to catch onto her channel because she commented on a post that I made on my channel. So I went over and visited her channel, and I was fortunate enough to run across this particular book. So thank you, Stephanie, for this recommendation here. And I'm excited to read this one, Black Fatigue. All right. Next up, the rest of these are all fiction. So next up is a classic that I want to read, and that is The Shining. And this is a well-used copy, as you can see right here, of The Shining. And I have always wanted to read this book by Stephen King. It's of course a Stephen King classic. And I'm really excited to jump into this one. I've seen the movie many times. Oh, I shouldn't say I've seen the movie. I've seen bits and pieces of the movie, and I've always wanted to read the book. And I've heard that this is during kind of the glory time of Stephen King, when he was really on point with his writing. And so I'm excited to have an opportunity to read The Shining. It's a monster of a book here. Let's see. It's over 440 pages. So I am definitely excited about this. It just, you got the kind of the closed circle thing that's going on. It just really has always fascinated me. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading The Shining by Stephen King. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Nazy's got Black Fatigue. Yeah, I'm excited about reading. I think it's going to be really, really good. And when I saw that book, and the booktuber that recommended it, I just thought, wow, I need to seriously jump on that. So let me know what you think about it when you get a chance to read it. I'm going to probably knock it out probably before the end of the week, because I'm just excited to jump into it. So I have the next 2 weeks off of work, so I plan to get in a lot of reading. I don't really have very many videos to shoot, as I mentioned earlier, because I shot most of my year-end review type videos, and I've edited all but one. So I still have one more to shoot and one more to edit. And once I get that done, I won't have to really film very many videos. I'll be able to do more live stuff like this and just kind of focus on this kind of content as I get the year in review videos done. Love for The Shining. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely looking forward to reading it. I've kind of rediscovered Stephen King in the last I don't know, probably half a year. Last 6 to 7 months, I've rediscovered Stephen King. When I was young, I read a lot of Stephen King, and he, just really got me excited about reading Stephen King. And then I read his wife, Tabitha King. I read a number of books by her, and I got excited about reading. So he's actually one of the people that's kind of responsible for my passion for reading. Okay. Next up is a book that I keep putting on hold for some reason, and I need to read it and knock it out. And so this is definitely going to be one that I want to get done. It is A Heart and a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. And it's kind of hard to see. We got a white balance issue right there, but there's a runner right there, and she's running, and then there's a tear coming down the face right there. So this one it has to do with a traumatic incident, and kind of a coping mechanism to be able to deal with the traumatic incident that happens. And so on the inside cover says, when everything has been taken from you, what else is there to do but run? So I'm excited about this. It just sounds like a really a good read, probably going to be emotional. I was looking at a booktuber that talked about this. And so sometimes these trauma stories can be very triggering for a lot of people. I'm not an easily triggered person, but at the same time, it could be. So we'll see. A Heart and a Body in the World is one of the books that I'm going to be looking at reading. Up next, the next four are from Book of the Month. For those of you who are in Book of the Month, you probably have stumbled across some of these. For those of you who are not in Book of the Month, then these might be a little bit new to you. And two of these are the same. So I'm going to pull two of these up here at the same time. So one is The Unraveling of Cassidy, Holmes by Alissa R. Sloan. And then the other one here is The Comeback by Ella Berman. And so there's some real similarities in these two books. And I don't know if any of you have read either of these two books, but it has to do with, they're kind of sad stories, and that they have to do with celebrity to some degree, and kind of the pitfalls of celebrity and how people deal with that and how they struggle through it. Daisy Jones and the Six is another one that I probably could easily have in this stack. There's these three books that are just really very similar. So I should have grabbed Daisy Jones and the Six. It's actually in the room next to me. So I might actually pull that one out as well and consider reading that one at some point as well. And let's see, another one from Book of the Month here. Some people have not been super high on this particular book, but um, let's see. It is People Like Her, followed by Millions, watched by one. People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. So this has to do with kind of social media, kind of influencer status, and kind of some of the pitfalls of that. I've heard that some people found it to be kind of uncomfortable read and weren't as excited about it. There's a Book of the Month group on Facebook, and they were talking about it, and they were just kind of ho hum about it. So we'll see how that one ends up. And then the last one is The Girl in the Mirror by Rose Carlisle. And this is a kind of a twin, identical twin kind of thing going on with assumed identity and a kind of a murder mystery at the same time. So we'll see how that goes. But those are some of the books that I have right here immediately that were right out in front of me that I'm looking at jumping into at some point. So, but I'm really excited. Black Fatigue, as Nazy mentioned, I'm definitely excited about jumping into that one. I think that's going to be one that I'll probably knock that one out in probably a day because it's one of those books that with nonfiction books, once I really get going, I just cannot put it down. So don't know about the rest of you, but that's just kind of how it goes for me when I really get going with nonfiction books, especially ones that are kind of engrossing. So, so what are you guys reading out here? Anybody reading anything really cool right now that they want to talk about? I need to set up my writing here a little bit before we do a writing sprint. Hang on. Just get all the pieces of the puzzle in place here. I've been doing a lot of outlining. And so when a story idea pops in my head, I don't waste any time. I jump in and just do even the most basic outline. And so I'm on my computer screen right now. I've got about a bazillion outlines that I've been putting together here. So, okay. So I got this in place here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do a little bit of a writing sprint here. I'm going to put 15 minutes on the clock, and that'll take us to about 9:40 p.m. Eastern time. So let me go ahead and get the clock up here. If you guys are not writing and you want to do some reading, that is perfectly fine as well. See, get the clock up here. The Shining should be right. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at that one. That's one that it's just. I feel like it's almost for the types of books that I read, it's almost criminal that I haven't read that by now, especially as much as I've liked the movie. Yeah, you can just get in a groove and just not be able to put it down. I wish I had that happen to me more often with fiction. It just doesn't happen to me quite as much with fiction. Um, I'm not sure why, but nonfiction is just like once I get into it, and I just, especially if it's a something that can be very passionate, it's just hard to really put that down. Finished Interior Chinatown today. Haven't heard about that one. Just started Washington Black. Okay. Those are two titles that I haven't heard about. So I'm gonna have to I'll have to do a little research on that. So hopefully those are some good suggestions that I can add to my list. And I'm gonna have, because again, over the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna have plenty of time to get some writing in. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that, being able to get some of that writing in. All right, let me go ahead and get okay. All right, so we're going to do a 15-minute writing sprint, and that's going to take us to just short of 9:45 p.m. So I'll be doing writing this particular 15 minutes, those of you who are doing reading, please jump in and do some reading as appropriate. Let's see. Interior Chinatown recently won the National Book Award. Wow. Okay. That sounds really interesting. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Yeah, I haven't even heard of that. You got me wanting to go to Amazon right now and check it out. Matter of fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to Amazon right now and check it out. I still got a little couple minutes here before. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's a relatively new release. Came out in November. Oh, look at Amazon. You can get this before Christmas. Oh, how generous of Amazon to say that. Wow. In stock, arrives before Christmas. Amazon is definitely about making their money. All right, let me see here. Let me check this out here a little bit. All right, let's see. Willis Wu doesn't perceive himself as a protagonist in his own life. He's merely generic Asian man. Sometimes he gets to be background oriental, making a weird face, or even disgraced son, but always he is relegated to prop. Yet every day he leaves his tiny. Oh, I think I may have heard of this. Oh, that does sound good. That does sound really good. I think I may have heard of this, but it was a while ago. It must have been somebody must have been teasing it. Let's see, written by Charles Yu, and there you, yeah, you called it 2020 National Book Award winner, New York Times bestseller. Wow. Okay. All right. I might be willing to check that one out. Let's see what else you guys got up here. I have not. No, I have not read Author Tuner's books. I have not. Are you recommending? All right. I'll chat with you guys while I get this sprint going. I am just like a page and a half into this new book that I'm going to be writing. So, all right. So, if you guys are ready, you can still chat with me while I'm doing this. So, don't feel like I'm going to ignore you. All right, here we go. All right. So that little mini writing sprint is in the books for me. And let me get this off of the screen here so you guys aren't flipping out looking at that blinking light. But so 464 words. It's interesting when you start writing, the the hardest parts are, like, for me at least, the very beginning and then the very end. And filling in the middle is not quite as hard, but once I get past the very beginning and I'm satisfied with the way that I started, then it's usually a much easier proposition from there to really kind of get the party started. And so that is the case here. I was able to, off camera earlier today, get this story started, and once I got it started, then the rest is just much easier. So I can start really sprinting and being effective with the writing. And then you get to the end, and then it's like you got to make it make sense. You got to hope that you followed your outline correctly, and that by the time you get to the end, everything is flowing. And that if you do decide to veer off and go in a different direction, that you've got all the pieces of the puzzle in place, so that when you veer off and go in a different direction, it's still you're still able to make it make sense. So that's kind of where I am right now. Is just getting started. I feel pretty good about the ending. I don't anticipate changing the ending too much, because I just feel like I'm going to be in a pretty good spot, because this story I started, and I'll give you guys a little bit more about it as I go along. Maybe not so much tonight, but in the future, once I kind of solidify it a little bit more. But it's kind of it's a sort of a thriller horror story that is going to sound like something straight out of the 1980s in terms of horror movies at you know a summer camp. So I've always wanted to write one of those. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Let's see what you guys are chatting about here. The middle is where you struggle. Yeah, I mean the middle sometimes can be. Um, if when the times when I have struggled in the middle, it's usually the back half of the middle. When you start to, it's like you get over the mountain and then you're looking down and you see where you have to get, and you're just kind of like, what's the best way to get there, and not trip and fall on your face. And so it can be the second half, the back half of the middle can be a little bit tough, especially when you have to start thinking about how you're going to end. That's where the challenge can sometimes come. The beginning is easier for me, the middle is where I struggle. Yeah, I think once, um kind of similar to what I was saying before, the beginning is like usually like you have energy and you have a vision for where you want to go. For me, it's just I'm just picky. And I mentioned to you guys yesterday when I did the broadcast that I started the story, but I just didn't like the way I started it. It was okay. It was okay, but it wasn't like what I really wanted. And then it made me pause to think about really working and focusing on the fundamentals of good world building. And so while it was okay, and I might end up going with it after I finish, strengthening my fundamentals of world building, I might necessarily end up going in a different direction. So but usually once I get that first couple of paragraphs, if I'm feeling really good about those first couple of paragraphs, then I just start flowing, and it gets going. Especially if I'm backed up by a good outline, that just makes it so much easier to really get going. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting off to a good start, really thinking through what you want to do in the beginning. And again, if you follow the 3 act format that I've talked about on here before, then that's going to put you in a good position to be successful. So, yeah, good discussions. The ending is interesting. The NaNoWriMo project that I finished, um, changing the ending was something that I was battling with once I got over that hill that I was just talking about. And you're on the other side of I should say the mountain, and you're on the other side of the mountain, and you're looking down, and you kind of see where the finish line is. And then at one point, I created 4 alternate endings, and so I was going with those, and I knew that I could keep writing and I would still be in a pretty good spot to use any of the four alternate endings that I wanted to use, in addition to the original ending that I had planned. But then as you get closer and closer and closer, you start to think, okay, I got to choose one at some point. So I got to that point, and then I'm like, I don't really like any of these. And I came up with another ending that I really did like, um, that I just didn't want a cheesy, predictable ending. So I threw an extra twist on there at the end that I think kind of shook it up a little bit, because I just did not want the stereotypical thriller ending. Like we were talking about Die Hard as a Christmas movie, like Die Hard, where it's a happy ending and the Christmas music is playing in the background. Except she does punch the reporter, which is kind of funny at the end, I guess, to some people. Let's see. Many years ago, I won a screenplay competition. Oh, congratulations! Based on the first 10 pages, I really didn't have much after those pages. Hey, but you got off to a good start. I tell you what, you get off to a good start. That is really really good. Let's see. Um, it is. It's hard. It's hard to get going. Divided by Sight wants to know if you finished it. I was considering doing some screenplay writing at some point, and I might actually get back into that. I was reading a. I'm a big fan of the Friday the 13th horror movie series, and at one point, I ran across an original screenplay of the movie, and I wanted to read it. Not so much because I wanted to read the screenplay, but I wanted to see how much they changed the movie from the original screenplay to what the final product was. With the adjustments that they made to the screenplay during, and then how they edited the final product. And so I was just curious to see, like, what did they do differently that might be interesting or might give you some background, because a lot of times they cut out stuff that maybe contextualizes something that you saw that maybe didn't quite make sense when you watched the movie, but then you watch the full version of the screenplay and you're like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of how I would imagine it, as a very different way of writing. The one thing that gives me some optimism about screenplay writing is that my books that I write are very dialogue driven. So I feel like that might give me an advantage. Nazy probably is best served amongst the group here to tell me about that. But I feel like because I write very dialogue heavy and my stories are very dialogue driven, typically that might help me, give me an advantage in terms of jumping into screenplay writing at some point. All right, all right. Let me go ahead and let's see here. All right, let's see. Yes, I did finish it, submitted it to the Sundance Film Festival. They called and asked for the whole screenplay. I didn't hear after that. Well, you know what? That's still a badge of honor, to that you got a call back. And those of us who are writers, we it's a sad truth, but we kind of get used to it, unfortunately. That it's trying to get people to see the vision of what you have and what you've put forth, and why you believe in it, and then trying to get others to see the vision that you have. But that's really cool that you submitted it, and they called and asked for the whole screenplay. And um that's still shows that there's some skill level there that you can continue to build on and continue to follow that passion. And so that's definitely what I would encourage. And it sounds like you're still doing it because you've joined us and talked to us about continuing to do that. So I would definitely encourage you. I'm in the process right now. Last year, I wrote a novel that I was really excited about, and I've spent months leading up to the this year 2020. I spent a lot of months editing it, polishing it, and now I'm just trying to shop it around and looking for some takers to see if anybody will take it. And I thought I had a publisher, and it didn't quite work out. So I know where you're coming from there, but I believe in it. So I'm gonna keep shopping it around, and hopefully I'll find the right one and be able to get a bite on it. So yes, yeah, it is, and it's a satisfying ending. I was watching a video, and they were talking about the two of the most satisfying words for an author is the end. And so when you were able to write the end, and you're able to increase that font size and bold it or whatever you do when you get to the end of your story, it's a good feeling. It's definitely a gratifying feeling to reach the end, to reach the conclusion. Even if it's just that first draft, it still feels good. When I finished that NaNoWriMo piece earlier this month, it was a good feeling because I really enjoyed the project. It turned out really well. There's no question it's going to need some editing to make sure that my adjusted ending does make as much sense reading it with fresh eyes as it did when I was writing it with maybe not quite so fresh eyes. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that bigger project that I finished and I'm shopping around, I'm still excited about that one. I think it's just going to be a matter of finding the right publisher. So that's another thing that I'm going to be working on, or a literary agent that I'm going to be working on over the next couple of weeks. So it's a urban fiction thriller, but I shouldn't say urban fiction. That's not really a good way of saying it. It's a thriller that takes place on a college campus, and it has to do with a large plot and a group of I guess you'd call them rebels. They stumble across this plot um, happenstance, and then they find themselves in danger and having to push back to topple the whole apparatus to be able to stop the spread of a sinister element. So, look, how vague can I be in describing it? So, but it was a fun project to write, and topical in a lot of ways, and interesting. I think that it's one of those things that I think just a matter of finding the right literary agent and right publisher that'll be able to see the vision that I had for it. It's not for everybody. It's uncomfortable at times because I take swings at a lot of people. I basically put the mirror in front of a lot of people, through characters and the interactions of characters to show people how we look at each other, how we treat each other, especially along issues of race and gender, ethnicity, and it's just one of those pieces that I'm just really excited about. And I just a matter of finding the right person who I can get to believe in it. So wish me and my powers of persuasion well. All right, so top of the hour. Let me go ahead and get the clock back on the screen, and we'll do at least this last sprint, and then I'll talk a little bit with you guys. And StreamYard's been on me. They're telling me I've used a lot of hours, so they're trying to get me to upgrade to a paid package, which I might end up doing. Okay, let me go here. Let me add the clock. Yeah. It's amazing how that works, isn't it? It is amazing how that works. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's just authors are just paranoid about unpublished works. And then when they publish it, you can't shut an author up. So it's like, it's just kind of funny how that works. Let's see. These writing sprints have helped me rework an old play I had a public reading over a year ago. Wow, okay. That went well, but didn't start revising until this year. It's interesting that you mentioned that. And I know I said I was going to start the 15 minutes, but it's interesting that you mentioned that because um reading it aloud really helps me a lot when I'm at a spot where I'm like I kind of think it's flowing, but I kind of don't think it's flowing. And then I start reading aloud, and that really helps me a lot to read aloud. But that's cool to really do a public reading. Um, and I think it's something that would help, at least in my mind, the way I'm envisioning it. It would help give you a perspective, a kind of a different perspective, reading it aloud and hearing it, and you just at least with me, I hear things that for whatever reason I don't see. So I don't know. Maybe my sense of hearing is just sharper sometimes than my sense of sight. All right, let's see. All right, so we're gonna go. Um, gonna go writing sprint until 10. Okay, 16 p.m. We'll call it. Let y'all get a chance to get some writing in or some editing, as it were, for some of you to sharpen some things up. Um, I'm at a still early stage in this gap story that I'm writing while I get ready for that series. So I'm just gonna have fun with this one. I was gonna do fan fiction, but I decided to take the concept that inspired me for fan fiction and then just totally create something much more original. So I'm gonna go ahead and have fun with that story, and however long it is, just however long it is. All right, here we go. So 15 minutes, go to about 10:16. Feel free to keep chatting at me if you want to. It's going to be real casual. I'm not like overly worried about word counts right now. I'm just kind of worried about just kind of having fun with this particular story. So um, we'll see how that approach works out. The just having fun approach. See how that works out. All right, here we go. Okay, let's see how I ended up doing. So I ended up getting in 284 words during that sprint. So that's what I got in, 284 words for me during that sprint. And that was pretty good. I actually ended up doing a little bit more research during that 15 minutes than I probably would normally do. So that was a good thing though, because there were some little pieces that I needed to sharpen up a little bit to add a little bit of depth to what the characters were talking about. So definitely glad I did that. It was very helpful to continue to move the story forward. So that's that. So I don't know how you guys all did. Those of you who were sprinting in that final little mini sprint of the night here, as we're up on looks like a 1 hour 16 minutes of action here and chatting a little bit about a great many things. So hope everybody is having a good night. I'm gonna get ready to close us out here in a little bit to get ready. I got to finish up my laundry for one thing before getting ready to relax for the evening here, as it is 10:19 here Eastern time. Divided by Sight is doing some research, so that's always a good thing. Or I should say, research is progress. Yeah, it's yeah, it was just a couple little things that I was looking for just to kind of refresh my memory about um, some labels that people use to describe hospitals. So it was kind of nice to go and do that, because like some of the stuff I got there and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not remember that? No writing for me. Enjoying reading tonight. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing some reading sprints here in the not too distant future. That was one of my points of emphasis on the channel for 2021. And I'm just going to set it up though in a different room so I can be a little bit more relaxed when I do my reading sprints. I do have a newish chair, so that's kind of nice. It's not necessarily a chair. I could have got a bigger one for taller guys like me. I probably should have gotten a taller chair. So next time I get a chair, I'll probably get a little bit of bigger one to really accommodate me a little bit better. But it's still not as comfortable as being on the couch, especially for reading. When I knocked out that book that I read earlier today, I was able to just jump on that and relaxed, and I was able to just kind of get on the grind, and it was definitely easier to do that. Oh, Divided by Sight is checking in with Nazy to see what she's reading. May reread a series to refresh my memory. Okay. Yeah, I want to find I'm still working on that Sarah J. Maas book, A Court of Thorn and Roses. I'm gonna hopefully have that finished by tomorrow. That's going pretty well. I was really just on the grind with that one when I first started it, and then I got caught up in some other things, and I haven't been reading it the last couple of days. But I want to get back to that and to be able to knock that out. I am at 70 books read for the calendar year 2020, and probably will end up adding. I'm thinking at least two more, because we got what, 11 days. We do have Christmas, but I'll be home for Christmas here, so I'll probably be with you guys a little bit more. But I'm hoping to get maybe another anywhere from 2 to 5 more books read by the end of the year. So that's how optimistic I am about reading for the end of the year. I'm reading Washington Black. Let's see, only about 30 pages in, but you're loving it. Okay, yeah, that was I think that was one of the ones you mentioned earlier. Let me look at that one too. Let's see. Let's pull that up here. Let's see if we can pull that up. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. Actually, hold on. I can just do this real quick. Let's see. Just checking it out here on Amazon real quick. See what they're talking about. Oh, that sounds like a really powerful read. Wow. Nazy saying got off to a good start. The writing you're really liking, so you're really digging the writing. I'm not familiar with this author. Let's check her out a little bit. Let me see what else. So she's got a little bit of a track record. Have you read anything else by this author? Give her a follow while I'm here. I'm liking this one. This sounds really good. Only $9.99 for a Kindle. Looks like so it's coming up on 2 years old. Yeah, I'll definitely keep that one. Definitely keep that one bookmarked. It sounds very intriguing. So that might be one that I'll look at here for the near or maybe distant future. The cover art is really compelling. That is really compelling cover art. Let me see. Let me go back to that for a second here. Hang on. Let me pull up if I can pull up the book cover here. Whoops. Went a little bit too far there. One of the New York Times 10 best books of the year. Wow. The author is Canadian. I think Washington Black won the Canadian National Book Award. Haven't read anything else by her. Wow, that is impressive. One of the New York Times 10 best books of the year. Wow. There's some pretty significant reviews there. The London Times, Dallas Morning News, Wall Street Journal, The Economist, Vulture, The Guardian, The Globe and Mail Toronto. So those are some pretty lofty reviews there from some pretty major worldwide newspaper publications there. So that might be worth checking out there. I'm kind of I'm definitely intrigued by that. 2021 attempting to write a children's book, new area to write in. Okay. Nice. Yeah, that's an interesting area. It feels like you can probably there's probably always a hungering for those children type books, especially um, depending on the age group. Let's see. Writing a disability mythology series. Okay. Yeah, I would. I don't. I'm not. I don't know what's out there in terms of fiction writing related to disabilities. I'm just not really familiar with that, and how much may or may not be out there. But yeah, thanks, Nazy, for this rec. I think I'm gonna add that to my cart because I'm kind of digging that one, and it's just so highly reviewed. Looks like a lot of people have been buying it too. It's got a lot of 5-star reviews. So it's in number 43 in Black and African American historical fiction, number 124 in men's adventure fiction, number 178 in women's adventure fiction. Yeah, I was afraid of that. That was what I suspected. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull the parachute for the night. I appreciate everybody that came through and left comments and chatted with me. Some good book recommendations. Great to hear from some people. Hopefully, arrange some interviews for the channel. So, fingers crossed. Excited about that potential opportunity. I definitely want to get into interviewing people more for the channel here going forward. I've made some points of emphasis for the channel looking ahead to 2021. So I'm hoping that those things will help me continue to gain audience and continue to build the platform to be able to engage more cool people who are interested in reading and interested in writing. So thanks everybody for coming out. Appreciate those of you who came in and chimed in with some great comments and some great dialogue back and forth. And also those of you who hit the like button and those of you who are subscribers to the channel. If you have not hit the like button and you would be so kind as to do it, I would really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed and you're interested in booktube and authortube content, please consider subscribing. The next 2 weeks on the channel, a reminder, I'm going to have my book of the year awards for several different categories: fiction, nonfiction, my surprise book of the year, my disappointment book of the year, and my first I was hating, now I'm celebrating book award. So keep your eyes peeled for those over the next 2 weeks as we close out calendar year 2020. At some point, probably tomorrow, because I don't feel like doing it tonight, I'm going to film my sort of year in review where I'm going to highlight the best book that I read each month in 2020. So I've got all but December penciled in, and I know what December's top book is in my head. I just have to write it down, and then I'll just go and film that video tomorrow, and that'll probably be posted on December the 31st. Then we turn the chapter to 2021, and so hopefully everybody's as optimistic as I am about a great 2021. So thanks again, everybody, for coming through. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Divided by Sight, Nicole. Thank you, Nazy. Thank you for having you back in the house. All of you who were able to come through at various times and offer your insights. It was very much appreciated. So everybody have a good rest of your night. And if you're as fortunate as I am and you have 2 weeks off before next year, 2021, then I hope you guys will enjoy it. I will be back on here, maybe even a little bit more frequently during the next 2 weeks since I'll have some time off and I don't have to necessarily film any videos after the one I'm going to film tomorrow. So I'll be plenty more time to do some more lives and looking forward to